Jimmy Ray. Welcome to Arts News, friends. I'm here with you every Friday, 10 a.m. to talk about people, places, and things to do in the arts world of the Ozarks. And this week we are kicking off our Spring Pledge Drive. And this is our public radio, friends. It's time to take ownership right now by calling 417-836-5768 or toll free at 1-888-678-5768. Also, you can donate on the web at ksmu.org. So glad to be in this public radio party with y'all. We know how much you love KSMU and programming just like this. Thank you in advance for your pledge of support to our public radio station right here in the Ozarks, folks. It's KSMU and it's Arts News. Let's go! Go, go, go! I'm Jimmy Ray. You're listening to Arts News here on KSMU, and a special Celtic Spring recital coming up this Sunday, April 12th, from the Conservatory of the Ozarks. It'll be happening at Central Christian Church, located at 1475 North Washington Avenue. That's here in Springfield. It's open to the public. Donations made at the door. And joining me, some folks here in the Arts News studio from the Conservatory of the Ozarks, Heather Leverich, and one of the performers, Helen Ashley Bodenhammer. Welcome, friends.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is an interesting concept. I assume it will have inspirations from the Celtic tradition, Heather?
Yes, we'll have many songs from the British Isles, lots of green, beautiful outfits, and maybe some fairy wreaths in people's hair. And we'll even have a piece to kick off the very beginning of the recital that will hopefully bring together some of the both pagan and Christian traditions of the British Isles with some druid/monk inspired green robes and candles, and we'll have a really fun backdrop on the stage. And then Helen Ashley is going to be another one of the acts to kick off the whole performance with a vocal solo she'll be singing.
Nice. Well, you guys always kind of like to do it upright with lots of festive looks and feels at the venues, so this is sure to be a great concert. Helen, give us a little insight on some of the music that you're singing. We're going to hear a song from you later, but do you have one piece, a couple pieces? What's the program look like?
I'm only singing one song this time. It chose Touch the Sky from Brave, one of my favorite Disney movies. I love the story of it and the whimsy and the wonders of it.
Yes.
And that song has always been one of my favorites.
Is this a solo thing, or are you going to have some accompaniment?
I have some accompaniment. I have Riley's going to be on the piano and Dwight on the guitar. We got the chance to work together, and I think it's going to sound wonderful.
And whenever you get a chance to do these types of recitals, Helen, what's special about them for you?
I love performing no matter what I do, and it's a form of storytelling that I really enjoy. That's why I choose a song that always has a story to it or some type of element that you can get something out of it that way. Mm-hmm. So I love performing, and I love seeing others perform and seeing the passion that lights up their faces while they're singing.
Yeah.
It's a sense of community that it's kind of hard to find sometimes.
Yeah, I agree with that. Music is a great way to kind of find that community. And the Conservatory of the Ozarks is doing a great job kind of fostering that community. What other kind of performances do we have throughout the night? How many songs, how many performers total can folks expect from this performance, Heather?
I would guess maybe around 12 to 15, something like that.
And these are all your students?
Yeah,
Excellent.
They're all my students. We have a vocal techniques class on Wednesday nights, which, by the way, we would love to have anybody join because we do choir pieces, and it's a really accessible way to start singing if you want to kind of dip your toes in the water. And they're the ones who will be doing that opening piece with the candles and the green velvet robes.
So that's like a group class and a group performance.
Class. Wow. So it'll be like a choir, like a tiny little choir piece.
Nice.
And we'll have another piece that has both guitar and piano that is from an Irish movie and that will be sung by a teenage student, actually. And we'll have a zombie cover from Cranberries,
Yes.
which is going to be really different than the original with just piano accompaniment. And my student Amber, who has a really passionate stage presence.
That is a cool song. So do you or the students, how does that work as far as arrangements? How do you come up with these different arrangements?
We really collaborate, I'd have to
Nice.
say. Like, I provide some leadership and direction, but I think the students in my studio, I mostly work with adults, and so
Yeah.
they are artists. Many of them are like Helen Ashley. They have gigs already where they're getting paid or they're in shows around town. So I try to help provide guidance for the inspiration they already have.
Mm-hmm.
And then Riley Laredo, our studio pianist, also always has a lot of great ideas. So I feel like we work together, the accompanists, the soloist, and then me. And we come up with some really fun ideas, I think.
Yeah, and that's kind of a little bit different approach than some music academy out there. So it's nice to see that collaboration happening. If folks want to know more about the Conservatory of the Ozarks, where should they be looking? Websites or socials?
We do have a website, conservatoryoftheozarks.org, but I'd say Facebook and YouTube are the two that I keep the most up to date. You can also text for information at 417-592-1756 or message on Facebook at the Conservatory of the Ozarks Facebook page, or you can comment on a Conservatory of the Ozarks YouTube video. But be patient. I don't have a support staff anymore since COVID, so
Yeah.
people sometimes get a little frustrated because I'm not always super fast to get back.
Part of being a business owner, just kind of doing it all, wearing all the different hats. So kudos to you and what you're doing. Helen Ashley, let me ask you this. Where did the music journey start for you? Has this something that you've always loved and done?
I have always loved music and singing.
Yeah.
My mom said that I'd make up little songs as a kid, and she would listen to me sing all the time. And it wasn't until one of her best friends heard me singing, and she's like, "You need to get her into lessons. You need to
Yeah.
get her started." And I grew up with musicals around the house. Like Mamma Mia was one of my
Gotcha.
favorite musicals. And every single time we would watch that movie, my mom's best friend would sit there and say, "Sing to me, Helen." And I can't remember the title of the song, but it's like the opening one of Mamma Mia where she's saying thank you for the music
Yeah.
and giving it to me. I would sing that, and I think my mom heard me sing that one time, and she was like, wait, she really does have something there and a passion for it. So then she got me into lessons, and I just continued from there, fell in love with theater and acting along the way.
Okay.
Helen Ashley had some really big roles over the last year. She's not bragging about
Let's
them, but
hear
she
'em.
was the nun.
I was recently in Disaster, the 70s musical.
Yes.
At the Fox through Springfield Contemporary Theater.
Yep, I remember covering that.
I was Sister Mary Downey, so I was the nun in that. I was in the ensemble for Rocky Horror Picture Show at High Tide.
Yeah.
So I do some community theaters around town. I also work at Pythian Castle
Oh,
as a murder
yes.
mystery actress.
Yes.
So it's a lot of fun to do that.
I did a few cabaret piano spots over there. I love it over there. Yeah, those dinner theaters are fun.
It's a lot of fun. I've been there for like 3 years now.
Yeah.
And it's definitely when you work at the castle, something happens where you're just like, you don't see yourself outside of it.
Yeah.
I don't go in too often. I'm there like once a month because we do the
Yeah.
shows. It's like I think every third Saturday of the month.
Yeah.
I go in and I'm in there and people are like, is it really haunted? I'm like, yeah, it is. They're like, how do you work there? And I'm like, you get used to it.
Yeah.
Like you're fine by the end of it.
Yeah, they're not like mean or anything.
No,
it's
no.
just a little funny something here or there.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Talking with Helen Ashley and Heather about the Conservatory of the Ozarks Celtic Spring Recital. It's happening this Sunday, April 12th at 6 p.m. over at Central Christian Church. That's located at 1475 North Washington Avenue in Springfield. It's open to the public. Donations will be happening at the door. Lots of performers, lots of music, wardrobe, and regalia, if you will. Always a good time with the Conservatory of the Ozarks. Let's hit them with the website one more time.
Conservatoryoftheozarks.org.
Yeah. So music from the British Isles and Celtic traditions happening this Sunday, April 12th. And you'll be hearing Helen Ashley and a lot of others. So Heather, Helen, thank you guys so much and have a great show this Sunday.
Thank you.
Yeah, we hope to see you there.
And we'll play a tune here now from Helen Ashley and her collaborators. This is one coming up on the concert April 12th. It's Arts News here on KSMU. I'm Jimmy Ray. You're listening to Arts News. Coming up next, it's Soundcheck with Jess Belisle as we look ahead to Studio Live. It's happening later today at noon with folk rock duo The Shandies. Jess caught up with them earlier this week to get a preview right here on Arts News, KSMU.
She closed the door behind her and threw away the key.
Studio Live is today at noon, and it's time for Soundcheck. I'm Jess Belisle. The Shandies celebrate 10 years as a band next month. Shannon Stein and Natalie Wildarczyk stopped by the KSMU studio to reflect on where they've been as a duo.
Start recording now so I can pay attention to levels as we talk this out.
Okay.
So, Shannon, let's start with you. If you will give me some talking here.
Okay, hello.
Yeah, keep
This
going.
is Shannon Stein with the Shandies. We have been together 10 years, and we came up with the name, the Shandies, based on where we're both from, which is Florida and Missouri. You combine beer and citrus, and you get a shandy.
This is just your sound check?
Yeah.
You're giving all the goods away.
I didn't even know that that's where the name
Oh, that's where the name comes from, yeah.
That is adorable. I mean, I knew what a shandy was, but I didn't know that that's why you...
Yeah, that's why we named, yeah. My best friend's husband came up with the name.
Okay, Natalie, it's your turn.
Okay.
Try to top that.
I don't know if I can top that. So it was an agonizing day of trying to come up with a band name. We finally agreed that we were going to just go ahead and become a band rather than just being guest artists at each other's gigs. Shannon would be having a gig and it'd be like, Shannon Stein with special guest Natalie Wildarczyk. And I was like, I'm tired of being a special guest. I want to just be a part of it.
Is that really how it started?
Yeah. I was a special guest. Yep. Yeah. Shannon was in like 4 bands when we first got together. So we're coming up on 11 years as a couple.
I was going to ask, were you two already dating
We
by
were.
then? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So we're coming up on 11 years as a couple in May, and then 10 years as a band. So we have been dating for a year.
All the May anniversaries.
And I have been in a couple of other bands and a duo, and she was playing with all kinds of folks, and then she would have solo shows, and I still remember seeing like Shannon Stein at
Copper Run
with special guest Natalie Wildarczyk, and I was like, remember, and I was just your special guest. And then we became a band. So
That's really cute.
We spent a whole day agonizing over a name because we didn't just want to be Shannon and Natalie.
Yeah, and we tried Shanatalie, but that just didn't.
That really didn't stick.
Just
Or
kidding.
Nandy. So we
Nanan.
Natatan,
Nat.
Natalatalan. We are very.
I don't know
goofy.
why you did not choose any of these names, because those really roll off the tongue.
Or Italy was
I don't know if we could even put that on the air.
probably not.
Shanatalie, you could. So we went through a ton of names, and then, Shannon said, it was my best friend's husband, Todd. He said, how about the Shandies? And Shannon just told us why. It was beer and citrus.
Makes a shandy.
Yeah. I grew up in Florida. Shannon grew up here with the breweries in Missouri.
Yep.
And it stuck. And it looks great on a T-shirt.
It does look great on a t-shirt. So, once you became the Shandies officially, where did that road take you?
Not where we thought.
Yeah, we were just, playing gigs at local venues and having a great time.
Playing covers.
Yeah, we did a lot of harmonizing and playing guitars together and picking songs that fit that style. And then Natalie had a few songs that she'd written in years prior, and we started performing some of those. And then she started writing more songs, and we decided to make an album. And that was in 2017 with Jimmy Ray. And then
Fast forward,
we're working on our 5th album. And we've just, played all kinds of cool shows. We've had a lot of great opportunities, and we've had a great time. And we've got more on the horizon.
Yeah, I really feel like it took us 10 years to just get to, I feel like we're just getting started now. Like, we're just revving up now. It's weird, but we had to, find our groove, I guess, and yeah, I think with a lot of bands, you start playing covers and then you figure out what is your sound and what's your vibe and where do you best fit,
Yeah.
both musically and then venue-wise. Like, what are the venues that best fit you? And it's taken us a decade, but we're finally playing out of town some now. So that's fun. But yeah, it's Year of the Horse, so we're galloping finally.
I love that. Yeah, it's we're supposed to be free and spontaneous and courageous, things like that.
Yeah.
So yes. What do you think has been the most surprising part of this journey for you?
I think there's a lot of things like that. Like, did I ever think that we would get to go to Japan and perform with the Sister Cities Association and play our original music in Isesaki and represent Springfield in
a
Japan?
pretty big
Like,
deal.
that is something I never saw coming. So that's definitely one. I mean, we've gotten to share the stage with some cool folks. I never thought that we would get to be a part of the Ozark Mountain Daredevils Generations show, not once, but twice. So that was really cool. Jimmy Ray, big thanks to him for that.
You know, we're big fans of him around here.
Yeah, I know.
Yes,
So are we. So yeah, we've just gotten to do some cool things that I think when we were just starting out and playing covers in bars and breweries, which we were perfectly happy doing that.
With special guest.
Yeah, like when I was just a special guest. But I never, I didn't have any big aspirations to like becoming a touring artist or anything, you know.
Yeah.
But as time went on, we just evolved and grew, and I think it's been really great.
It has, yes.
That was so NPR right there. Like, it has, yes.
It was really good.
It's very exciting. Delicious dish.
Be sure to catch the Shandies on Studio Live today at noon. Thanks for tuning in to Soundcheck. I'm Jess Belisle.
And they're both still holding tight. After all these years together, neither one could say who was the bird, who was the cage. What was sold to them as freedom was just a longer chain. Who was the bird, who was the cage? Who was the bird, who was the cage? Who was the bird, who was the cage?
I'm Jimmy Ray, listening to Arts News, and Springfield Mid-America Singers, under the direction of Tom Matrone, will present their spring concert on Sunday, April 19th at 3 p.m. at the Kingsway United Methodist Church in Springfield. The concert is free, and you are invited. The concert will feature a wide variety of musical genres, ranging from Hebrew love songs, Haydn's Te Deum, and 3 beautifully arranged and well-loved American songs, Shenandoah, This Little Light of Mine, and Witness. More information can be found at the Mid-America Singers website at smasingers.org or on their Facebook page. It's the Springfield Mid-America Singers and their upcoming spring concert on Sunday, April 19th, 3 p.m. at Kingsway United Methodist Church in Springfield. And Springfield's free summer concert series, Live from Downtown, is returning for its second season. Beginning May 2nd, Park Central Square will once again host weekly all-ages concerts featuring local and regional artists each Saturday through September. Concertgoers can expect a diverse lineup of performances and a welcoming, accessible atmosphere. In addition to providing a high-quality concert experience, the series aims to serve as an economic driver for downtown Springfield, encouraging guests to spend time engaging with local businesses and socializing with neighbors. Steve Udaly, founder and president of Live from Downtown, says in our inaugural 2025 season, we hosted 20 shows featuring 42 unique musical performances for roughly 4,000 attendees throughout the series. He continues, from the very first conversations about Live from Downtown, our goal has been to showcase the local music community in a way that is easily accessible to citizens and visitors of Springfield and the surrounding communities. We're highlighting the vibrant hub of arts and culture that is downtown Springfield. We wanted to create a family-friendly environment where folks from all walks of life can come downtown, do some shopping, grab dinner, drinks, and generally experience all the unique things the district has to offer. Live from Downtown's second season is made possible with a presenting sponsorship from the Hatch Foundation. Additional sponsors include Downtown Springfield CID, Phelps County Bank, PenMac, Missouri State University, the Ozarks Music Alliance, Tamara and Robert Kahn, Gailey's Breakfast Cafe, JOB Public House, and Gig Salad. The series will run from May 2nd to September 26th. Concerts will take place each Saturday on Park Central Square with the exception of June 13th, which is Pride Fest, July 4th, Independence Day, and August 8th, which is the birthplace of the Route 66 Festival. Performances begin at 7 p.m. and typically conclude around 9 to 9:30 p.m. The 2026 lineup and additional details will be announced soon. It's the Live from Downtown free summer concert series in Springfield, Missouri on Park Central Square. You can find Live from Downtown at their website, livefromdowntownsgf.com, or on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Jimmy Ray. You're listening to Arts News here on KSMU. And that is the Victory Waltz from the Bold Deniers. And one of the musicians in that group is Turner Collins. And he will be playing his final show in Springfield this Saturday, tomorrow, April 11th at 4:30 to 6:30 at Vine Pairings. It's located at 3830 South Lone Pine. Here in Springfield, Turner will be playing the Irish harp and the button accordion. Special guests will be KSMU's own Lee Warman on the Irish whistle, bones, and Irish drum. There's no cover charge, and this is the last chance to catch these two together before Turner moves to Florida. It's Turner Collins tomorrow, Saturday, April 11th, 4:30 to 6:30 at Vine Pairings. I'm Jimmy Ray, listening to Arts News here on the grounds of the Art Museum behind me as we look forward to a new event. As the renovations continue, the Art Museum activities will also continue right here in this beautiful grounds in between the Art Museum and Phelps Grove Park. You might know that there's columns there, a concrete stage, a nice big lawn with sculptures out here. And there's going to be events happening. And here to talk more about it, Communications Director for the Art Museum, it's Nicole Chilton. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So it's a beautiful day out here. You can hear the birds chirping. And as we look ahead, every second Saturday, you guys have got an event going on here. Let's talk a little bit about the details.
Yeah, so the Art Museum has this beautiful lawn. It's the Hatch Lawn.
Yeah.
And even though the museum is closed for renovation, the lawn is still open to the public. There's sculptures, the Fast Night Creek.
Yeah.
Like you said, we've got this stage up there. It's connected to the park. So it's just this really great space. And we'd love people to remember that it exists, that we're still here in a variety of capacities. So every second Saturday from April through October, weather pending, we will have some programming out here. It's completely free. It starts at 8 a.m. with some yoga led by the Wellness Collective.
Yeah.
And then we will have a volunteer opportunity to help keep Fast Night Creek clean. And then we'll have some live music. It rotates every month. And then people are encouraged to bring a chair, bring their sketchbook. We'll have some hands-on art activities like drawing classes and watercolor demonstrations. So it's just a very low-key, come and go, relaxing morning at the Art Museum.
Yeah, excellent. So from about 8 to 1, the second Saturday of every month, out here on the lawn of the Art Museum, all sorts of artistic, creative things going on. And the programming I've noticed on here is very eclectic. There's going to be a string quartet, singer-songwriters. Joe Dillstrom and Stevie Newman will be out here for the very first one. That's happening this Saturday, April 11th. The music kicks off around 10. and we'll go to about 1, give or take. It's a very relaxed feel, I think, that this is going to be, and I can already tell just out here, the breeze hit me in the face and the sun beating down, that this is going to be a special thing.
Yes, if you want to visit our website, it's sgfmuseum.org/on-the-lawn.
Yes.
Or if you just go to our main website, there's a banner up there that you can click on. It's completely free.
Wow.
For a few of the programs, such as the yoga, or if we have any specific classes, we note it, if request some pre-registration.
Gotcha.
Just to allow for space and
Yeah.
supplies and all
Excellent,
of that.
excellent.
But everything's completely free, and we just can't wait to see people come and enjoy the space.
Yes, beautiful. It kicks off this Saturday, April 11th, and it's the On the Lawn series here at the Art Museum. Nicole Chilton, thanks so much, and we look forward to this event, this free event on the lawn of the Art Museum. Every second Saturday, it's April through October. I'm Jimmy Ray, you're listening to Arts News here on KSMU. Welcome, friends.
Does the little one in your life have a big imagination? Then the OPT PBS Kids Writers Contest is the perfect place for their stories to shine. The contest is for kids in grades kindergarten through 3rd grade, and entries are due by April 24th. Information and entry forms at optv.org/KWC.
It's National Poetry Month, and here at Arts News, we are putting poetry on the radio. Starting next week, we'll also have some in-depth features on local poets, but for now, here's Sadie Carter with an original poem.
This is a love poem to a bicycle. It's called Royale. I still wish I hadn't sold it. It would have cost a fortune to ship, but Christ, it was beautiful. Champagne color with the mixed frame, built for touring with the extra dropouts and the lugs, my God. Nottingham built with the custom screws you had to find new old stock. Hours on forums and tense conversations in shops. Miles through the dark together. Wild power and reckless legs. Gorgeous girls who made the wind mind us. The car hit us both, but we survived with just a few nicks. I should never have sold it. I should have been buried with it. Should have left it to my favorite son.
Over the next several weeks, we're going to be bringing you an audio drama from Ozark Anthology Productions. Rick Gibson, creator, songwriter, musician, producer, and story writer, and narrated by Terry Wayne Sanders. Each installment also includes an original song by Rick Gibson, and this week we will hear episode 3, entitled Open the Door, continuing the life and times of Curtis Lee, an audio drama by Ozark Anthology, right here on KSMU Arts News.
This is an American saga. The Life and Times of Curtis Lee, Episode 3. The sadness of leaving the plateau faded as they drew closer to the mighty Mississippi. The conversation of times gone by were replaced with questions about the future. Like fish out of water, the Halfords soon arrived in the scurrying river town of Memphis, Tennessee. Life in the big city was a dramatic change for the Halford family. Dad had visited Memphis years before, so he tried to describe what it was like to his sons, but it in no way prepared Curtis for the perpetual human motion of this bustling city. First things first. There were jobs to be had if you knew where to look. Most were labor jobs requiring a strong back and long hours. They needed fishermen to ride the skiffs on the Mississippi. There were openings for cotton pickers and baggers out in the fields, and always a shortage of lumbermen for timber cutting and loading. Andrew had been given a reference from a friend back home So off he went to introduce himself to the local postmaster. He walked in confident, with a personal reference in hand. The postmaster wasn't much impressed with Andrew's referral. It was Mr. Halford's firm handshake and family tale that landed him a job as a mail carrier for the U.S. Post Office. Shortly after arriving in town, Curtis had seen a street poster calling for experienced lumber workers, so he and his brothers hopped on a trolley and headed straight to the loading docks. When they arrived, they stopped cold in their tracks. What they saw was like no apparatus, they knew. A huge metal arm of some sort, mounted on the dock, lifting piles of lumber and setting them back down on a riverboat. Their eyes were as big as moon pies. Once the shock wore off, they found a little office perched to the side of the dock. They did not expect the greeting they got when a large, salty dog of a man spun around and grumbled, "What do you want?" Curtis spit out a few words and eventually strung together a sentence. But all the captain needed to hear was, "We're lumbermen." They started work the next day, cutting and loading lumber onto the big barges. It was actually familiar work for these farm boys, although now the mighty Mississippi River was their backdrop. For the Halford brothers, this was not only their first time working for someone other than themselves, but the first time working alongside men of color. This fact wasn't lost on Curtis. He never forgot the stories of his immigrant family working the tobacco fields. Curtis was assigned to an all-colored crew. He had conflicting emotions. Society told him one thing, while his family taught him another. Curtis knew someday he would have to stand on one side or the other. That day was here. Curtis stepped onto the boat dock to go to work, showing nothing but respect for his fellow crew. With his simple country humor and easygoing nature, he befriended his co-workers and found common ground on the docks, swapping stories and telling fish tales. Curtis knew he was an outsider, but he was never going to be their enemy. Every day but Sunday for over a year, Curtis worked side by side with his 8-man crew. These were men with different backgrounds and two things in common. They worked hard, and they were grateful to have a job. Now, with most any mix of strangers, you might expect a misfit or a scoundrel be among them. In this case, yes, there were occasional outbursts of temper, and certainly a copious amount of foul language, but nothing serious. Everyone pulled together to get the job done. It is notable to point out the curious hodgepodge of personalities Curtis discovered on that slippery dock. Take Little John, for instance. A short, peculiar-looking fella who was always talking to himself. All day long he'd mutter and mumble aloud while working. No one knew what he was saying or who he was saying it to, so they just let him ramble on and gave him an occasional nod. There was Boyd, the crane operator. Funny thing about Boyd, he had an uncommonly lazy eye. It took a bit, but the crew eventually learned which eye to look at when talking to him. Another, was Sleepy John. He fancied himself a blues man. When he wasn't on the boat dock, he'd be down singing and picking his guitar on Beale Street. John always called it the Black Folks downtown. They must have liked his music, as he was down there most every night into the wee hours. He'd come to work and not say much, too tired after being out all night. They did find him asleep atop a cotton bale on more than one occasion. End of the day, as soon as that dock whistle blew, off he went, back down to the street. Most colorful of all the crew was Beau Broussard. Beau was the load rigger, the guy who made sure the load was harnessed together good and tight. Broussard was a tall, slender, mixed-race man from Louisiana, some African, some Irish, and a whole lot of Cajun. He spoke with a strong New Orleans accent and met you with a big, wide grin. Any given day over lunch, he'd be spooning out red beans and rice, spinning a tale, spitting out riddles, or serving up any number of salty jokes. The farm boy from Beach Creek and the sharecropper's son from Point Coupee Parish made quite a pair. It was Broussard who nicknamed Curtis the Cobbler. The two men genuinely enjoyed one another's company, always cracking jokes, trying to outdo each other. These two kept the crew in high spirits. This was Curtis's crew. These were the men he shared his days with. They had learned to rely on and respect one another, despite being so different. This crew was a good example of how men can come together despite their differences. Curtis was approaching his first year working the docks. He was growing weary of the strenuous work. He was beginning to contemplate the future. There was a strong wind blowing in from across the river, making this December morning particularly hard to bear. Just about midday, the crew was breaking for lunch. Curtis and Beau had finished fastening a load of lumber and turned to walk away. Boyd hoisted the lumber into the air, then spun the big apparatus around toward the boat deck. No one noticed Little John wandering off to the far end of the dock. That area was strictly off limits and was directly in the path of the oncoming load of lumber. At the very last minute, Boyd caught just a glance of Little John, whose back was turned to the load. There was no time to react. Little John was struck and knocked violently off the dock into the frigid and muddy Mississippi waters 30 feet below. Boyd yanked the emergency whistle. The crew turned and raced down to the edge of the dock. They peered into the face of the dark, murky water and called out. Little John was gone. Curtis, with his crewmates, stood in shock and disbelief. The load of lumber hung suspended and twisting in the air. When he got home that night, Curtis sank to his knees. The dock would never be the same for Curtis. He had worked so hard to forget such sadness. Now the dock was a daily reminder of the fragility of life and the emptiness death leaves behind. He felt beaten down. Death, most definitely, had a sting. Curtis's trauma would affect Cora, too. She could feel his depression. She could see it in his eyes and hear it in his voice. His joyful spirit was missing, and his presence seemed miles away. To be strong for Curtis. Christmas came, and it was Nell's 4th birthday. That night, she fell asleep with her arms around her daddy's neck. Christmas and New Year's had been somber times. Curtis just couldn't seem to shake it off. Over the following weeks, Cora was steadfast by his side and on her knees. Then, she had an idea. She pulled out the family checkerboard. She and Curtis sat and played for hours. That simple game grounded Curtis to his past. It connected him to his roots and reminded him of his young dreams. In the middle of their fifth game, he began to tear up. They sat in the candlelight talking until dawn. A few weeks later, as winter was coming to an end, Curtis was at the kitchen table when Cora walked up and stood. He glanced up. She was holding his fishing pole. Curtis cracked a smile and took Cora's hand.
Just north of the mountain, where the spring waters flow, lived a lovely young maiden with a heart that's pure as gold. The river was her companion, all of nature was her home. She sailed waiting for her love down a long, long, crooked road. Now on a day like no other, she opened the door and he came. He promised his love would last forever. She opened the door and let love in. She opened the door and let love in. Flowers bundled in her arms on a sunny summer. Behind the door now stood a young man, standing face to face. Now that's when two hearts come together, singing songs on a front porch swing. She found his kiss in the sunlight, beneath a tender, salty stream. It was a day like no other. She opened the door and he came in. He promised his love would last forever. She opened the door and let love in. She opened the door and let love in. She opened the door and let love in. She opened the door.
I'm Jimmy Ray. You're listening to Arts News, and that was the life and times of Curtis Lee. And that episode was called Open the Door. It is the third installment of 7 of an audio drama from Ozark Anthology and creator, musician, storyteller, producer Rick Gibson. And great narration work by the one and only Terry Wayne Sanders. Over the next few weeks, we will continue with these installments right here on Arts News, KSMU. That's all the time we have for Arts News. Thanks for tuning in and pledging your support for public radio here in the Ozarks. If you haven't called yet, the number's 417-836-5768 or ksmu.org to keep supporting programs just like this. Peace.
It's Arts News, people and places, things to do. Arts News, here on KSMU. Hey, hey.